The most pivotal moments that impact CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans during the tenure, plus a petty wish for CJ Stroud. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do.
Year two of the CJ Stroud era, and there are some things that are going to impact the long-term success of not just him, but D'Amico Ryans in the entire era. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I got a petty wish for CJ Stroud that is motivated kind of by Tom Brady, who's had some nice things to say about him. But I just want to get into these things. Some things happen over the course of an NFL season, you can just completely wash them away and move on from them. You've heard the year-to-year league type of stuff. Teams can have down years and they can bounce back and not miss a beat. But there are some pivotal moments where franchises have to either adjust or franchises aren't able to recover. And there's a couple of those in the AFC South that I want to touch on. 8 to be exact. And I'm going to cap it off with a petty wish for CJ Stroud, in which I'm rooting against guys that I've actually grown to like around here. Let's start with number one, the localized, as we always localize it here in the locker room. And if I miss anything, be sure to put it in the comments. But the localized pivotal things in the AFC South, both short and long term, that impact the success of CJ Stroud and the Texans. Number one is seeing if AR-15, Anthony Richardson, can play and stay on the field. This is going to be an interesting season for Anthony Richardson. He's coming back from the injury. He wasn't really able to stay on the field in Florida. If you get a situation where in his second season he's also unable to stay on the field, that impacts the Texans because we know the Colts are kind of a threat to the Texans. They were very close to ending the Texans season. We think that they got the right coach, but if you have the right coach but you don't have the right quarterback, you can kind of be in no man's land. So number one most pivotal thing that affects the short and long term of the Texans is seeing if Anthony Richardson can play and maybe most importantly, stay on the field. Number two, seeing if Brian Callahan can coach. Look, the Tennessee Titans, it appears that they just don't really have an identity. You thought they were rebuilding. Then you thought that maybe they weren't because they're going aggressive. And it's really going to all come down to this Brian Callahan guy. Don't know a ton about him. Don't know what he's capable of. Wasn't really 100% the overseer of the offense in Cincinnati. But if Brian Callahan is in the same class as, say, a Shane Steichen, and he proves himself to be such, that could change a lot of things as well. We'll get to his quarterback in a second. Number three, Doug Peterson's 2024. I know we talk about coaches on the hot seat. I don't know whether Doug Peterson's getting mentioned in that category or not, but Jacksonville coming off the meltdown last year. They're about to pay Trevor Lawrence. If Jacksonville doesn't make the playoffs or Jacksonville disappoints, are we looking at potentially Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence getting a new coach? Or we're damn sure going to be heading into next season if Jacksonville has a bad season this year with them looking for a new coach. Do you think D'Amico Ryans is a long-term guy? You think Shane Steichen's a long-term guy? The other two unknown for different reasons. Number four, Trevor Lawrence getting paid. Look, if you asked any Jags fan and you asked him to be honest with himself, if they're satisfied with how they feel about Trevor Lawrence right now, if they say yes, they're either rewriting history or they're not being honest with themselves. When Trevor Lawrence came into the league, it was looked at as a franchise-changing thing. You saw the montages of Peyton Manning. You saw the montages of Andrew Luck. You saw the montages of John Elway. And Trevor Lawrence is okay. Is he a top 10 quarterback? I think most people would probably say not. So he's really good. The reality is, though, once you pay a quarterback, even if he is really good, like Josh Allen, you're going to have to adjust. It's going to be more difficult to put together a roster. And Trevor Lawrence is going to be paid like an elite quarterback. Now, is he an elite quarterback? Is he even a really, really good quarterback? Is he a top quarter of the league quarterback? Is he a top 8 starting quarterback? I think most people would say no. So once Trevor Lawrence gets paid, it's going to become even more difficult for Jacksonville. They're going to have to, their margin for error when it comes to doing things around him, it's much smaller. You're not going to be able to pass on Aiden Hutchinson for Travon Walker. You're going to have to be smarter with your cap space. You're going to have to build a squad. Trent Baalke, the GM of the Jags, was on the hot seat not too long ago. For whatever reason, that's kind of dwindled down. But once you pay Trevor Lawrence, and he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and that's going to happen, that's pivotal. It's going to be pivotal for the Texans as well, but you feel good about CJ Stroud right now. Jags, if you're being honest with yourself, you can't feel like it's just an unknown, like a no doubt pay Trevor Lawrence type of thing. Number 5, how does Nico Collins, keeping our eyes on our own paper here, how does Nico Collins follow up his 2023 season? Heading into 2023, hadn't really played with a good quarterback, hadn't really been able to stay on the field. He's missed 12 games in his 3 years. How does he follow that up? Does Nico Collins follow up his 2023 season with another healthy season? Does the production look the same? Texans are going to have to make a decision there. You think Nico Collins is a part of the long-term plans no matter what, but how does he follow that up? Is it more of the same with what we saw last year? Does it kind of dwindle down and we see him not stay on the field? That's really important. Did they decide to extend him before? That's number 5. Number 6, what does Levis look like? Look, I'm not high on Will Levis. I don't think a lot of Will Levis, but if Will Levis doesn't establish himself as someone that you at least saw improvement from rookie season to second season, the Titans are in no man's land. Next year's quarterback class doesn't look great. Obviously, there's times where quarterback classes don't look great, and you end up finding a good quarterback, but that's no man's land. We've seen that. We've witnessed it in Houston for the majority of the time of the franchise. We've mentioned it. We've witnessed it in Indianapolis recently. Post Andrew Luck, it's no man's land there. So what does Will Levis look like? Would I bet on it? Probably not. Have I been wrong about quarterbacks before? Yes, I have. What does Will Levis look like? Number 7, does Derek Stingley stay healthy? After this season, Derek Stingley is going to be eligible for an extension. That's kind of a slippery slope because while he was elite at the end of last season, he was the defensive player of the month. He did miss 6 games, and that's been a trend with Derek Stingley. It was the biggest concern coming in. Does Derek Stingley stay healthy? If he has a fully healthy season and he plays like he did on the back end of last year, and I think if he's on the field, that's what he's going to do, how much do you have to pay Derek Stingley? It's going to be elite corner money, but is he going to be able to stay healthy? If he does, it would be the first time since his freshman year at LSU. It was great at the end of last year, but he did miss 6 games. And number 8, and this is something that the Texans are going to have to deal with inevitably. It seems like this is this is going to happen. We've seen quarterbacks overcome it. We've seen situations where you don't miss a beat, but Bobby Slowick and Gerard Johnson, their departures from here appear inevitable. Gerard Johnson's getting a large push. He got a lot of offensive coordinator interviews last year. He's around the age where teams would consider hiring guys as head coaches, even if they aren't coordinators. I think it's inevitable that CJ Stroud's going to lose his offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. Do both of them happen after the season? Who knows? But it does seem inevitable. In a perfect world, one of them gets a job, the other one remains the OC, whether it's Johnson or Slowick. In a nightmarish world, they both leave, and then you have to figure out who's going to call plays and who's going to be the quarterback coach. So those are the 8 things. I'll give you my petty wish in a sec. Number 1, seeing if AR-15 can stay on the field. Number 2, seeing if Brian Callahan can coach. Number 3, Doug Peterson's 2024. Number 4, Trevor Lawrence getting paid. Number 5, how Nico follows up his 2023 season. Number 6, what does Levis look like? Number 7, does Stingley stay healthy? Number 8, Slowick and Johnson inevitable departures, which won't happen in season. It'll just be kind of a cross your fingers type of thing. How do you think each of these will play out? Put it in the comments. Did I miss anything? Are there any other pivotal questions? And I'll leave you with this. This is my sick wish for CJ Stroud when it comes to number 8, Gerard Johnson and Bobby Slowick leaving. I will be rooting against either one of these guys as head coaches, and I will hope that they arrive back in Houston as CJ Stroud's offensive coordinator. Much like Josh McDaniels left Tom Brady and failed in Denver, and then they won a lot of Super Bowls together when he came back. I will be rooting for two teams whenever Gerard Johnson and or Bobby Slowick, which this is crazy. I know Gerard. I like Gerard. He's a friend of the show. But look, Texans doing good is in my best interest. It's in the best interest for the city I live in. It's in the best interest for the show I'm on. It's in the best interest of the stream I do. So Gerard Johnson, Bobby Slowick leave. I'm rooting for the Texans on Sundays, and I'm rooting against them no matter what. Hell, give me 2 0-17 seasons. Come back. Be CJ Stroud's offensive coordinator for the remainder of your career. I'm just kidding. Kinda. Subscribe, like, ride along. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans daily digital content. Tell me where I got it wrong. Tell me how you think each of these things will play out. Happy Memorial Day, and always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you